Sound off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today on the Esteban Hours Week in Reviews Sound Off. Today's Sound Off is about prisoner escapee from Pennsylvania who has finally been captured. That's what we're going to talk about today. The manhunt that went down for several days to finally find him. How did they find him? What did they use to find him? What has he been doing all of these days? We're going to find out. And of course, every prisoner escapee always has to get into some mischief while they're out. This person stole some things. We're going to talk about what he stole and why. First, let's bring in our panel. Activist and co-host and co-producer of the Esteban Hours Week in Review, Jeremy Baker, Justin Rowland, life and fitness coach, and also our very own Lady D from the Esteban Hour podcast. Welcome, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for joining us today. So, we're talking about prisoners today. Okay.
One in particular.
One in particular. Okay, so this prisoner, he is in prison, I believe, lifetime for murder. Okay, in a suburban Philadelphia jail cell. He was caught climbing up a wall. We're going to show that on the video, and that is how he escaped. Now, some people may say, "How is that possible?" I'm one of those. How is that possible?
He's in good shape.
He apparently it was in good
Let's
shape.
just be honest. He's
But
in
if
good
you
shape
got
because I couldn't get up no wall.
if you got a
Not like that, I
thousand
couldn't.
eyes on the jail cell, how is it possible that he was able to crawl all the way up and out and not get noticed? And isn't there anybody outside standing there manning the stations watching?
Right.
I don't. This escapee, I don't get. Now, the ones where they talk about dug through tunnels and all of that, okay, that's understandable, right? They can't, no one might have the eyes to see that. But this one, they had a camera that showed him crawling up the wall, right? So who was watching that camera?
Right.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. That's a good question.
And Justin's probably the only one here that looks like he might be able to pull that move off going up that wall.
Absolutely.
I know I couldn't do it.
Hey,
how hard is
you know
that?
what though? You've really got to give him credit for his execution on this entire thing, because he's got to be someone that's very observant. He's either taken notes, he's plotted this for a long time.
Yes, methodical.
So like he made a plan, he observed, and he executed. So I'm not saying that what he did was right, but his execution was where it needed to be.
You gotta give him a little credit there.
Yeah.
I think you're right though. I think he had a plan all the way up until after it actually worked. Yeah. And I think he got on the ground, was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Now what do I do? Because obviously he didn't have a plan beyond that.
So here's some of the details. Some of the details are he actually took the route of a previous prisoner who broke out of jail. And
from the same jail?
From the same jail. And I had just mentioned who was watching. Well, it turns out that the tower guard that was on duty has been put on leave as they go deeper into the investigation.
So this already happened at their jail. And there was already a crisis issue there with security, right? And the first incident should be the first time, and that time you take care of it right then and there. You don't wait for another prisoner to be able to break out. What are you doing? What is the administration doing?
Yeah, and what you do is you send somebody. So if it were me, like, you know what? I'm going to send one or two people to try this out real quick. I'm going to see what methods they get caught with, and then I'm going to execute my plan based off how they got caught. I'm going to make the proper adjustments needed after we see what is not working.
Absolutely.
Okay. Before we go any further, let's play this first clip.
All right, here we go.
The moment a canine dog subdued Danilo Cavalcante, grabbing his legs after biting him on the scalp.
The subject is in custody.
His recapture was carried live on TV with stunning images from news helicopters. He was cornered on the 14th day of the search by a Pennsylvania State Police and Border Patrol SWAT team. 34 cops in combat gear with 2 canines involved in the hunt posed for a class photo. There's Cavalcante in the center, like a trophy. He was then marched to an armored police vehicle. You can see the .22 caliber rifle stolen from a homeowner being carried by a trooper. He was literally cut out of his soaking wet clothes, a stolen Philadelphia Eagles sweatshirt. His tattoo was photographed to confirm his ID.
This gentleman was 34 years old. He obviously knew of the last prisoner who got out. It's reported that the last prisoner that got out was returned in minutes. This prisoner got out for days. It also is reported that they increased the staff of this jail cell, which again is incredible on how these measures, were allegedly taken, but still someone escaped. Go ahead.
Well, there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah, it wasn't
absolutely.
just. It wasn't like he just went up the wall and hopped out. He went up the wall, ran across
He
a
worked
roof.
hard for that to get out of there.
There was plenty of opportunity when he was completely. He had to be visible. Nobody was that doesn't look right.
Nobody was
Why
paying
is that guy
attention.
on the roof right there? Nobody walked him by. Nobody called him out.
You just really have to question. You've got to question how many things were in play here. So so the first guy that got out was the same staff, was the same shift on board when this second guy escaped. If it was a different crew, there's so many things that come into play, because right now with technology, you can't even as much steal a piece of gum without getting caught. So how did this guy manage? How did this guy manage to get this far and for this many days if our technology is up to par where it needs to be?
And it was reported that one of the changes that they did make after the prior escapee is they added barbed wire to the area. So that makes you think, number one, why the hell wasn't there barbed wire there before? This is not 1962. This is 2023. Are you trying to tell me no one has tried to escape this jail cell for the last couple of decades? And then now that you add the barbed wire, so did he go into the opposite direction? Did you add the barbed wire on the opposite side? I don't.
Man, and it goes beyond barbed wire. You would literally have to know the blind spots of your cameras. Where are these blind spots? There are so many things you would have to know before executing at the caliber that he executed at on a state or federal level.
That's right.
It was pretty crazy. And this guy apparently, after 2 weeks from the sounds of the next video, he was pretty much happy to go back to jail. I mean, he wasn't like he broke out and had this party with his homies or whatever. You know what I mean? He literally got out and was lived off watermelon for 2 weeks. I mean, the guy was living, stealing from people's homes, living in the woods.
He realized what a lot of escapees realized, that it's much easier in jail, right? It's much easier. Because you're taken care of and you're being fed.
Yeah. But where do you really go if you don't have a family? And there's some people that may not have that connection to have someone to turn to. So if you can't go to your family, then who are you going to stay with on the street when you come out?
Mm-hmm. Right. I was just going to say, it's not that they don't have family, it's that they can't go to their family. I'm sure there's a police officer sitting right outside of their grandma's house, their daddy's house.
Now, I can say this is Pennsylvania, and some of these prisons are in really isolated areas, and we have woods and hills and mountains. I mean, there's not exactly an easy way for this guy to just survive with no supplies or anything out in the woods and running through neighborhoods and stuff like that. So his plan was definitely flawed after he made it out of jail.
Well, it's been reported that he did steal a couple of items. Women's panties were not one of them. But he did steal some clothes, some shoes, and the last thing that he stole that helped authorities really pinpoint him was a rifle. And the home that he stole that
the
rifle from, that owner was there and apparently had another gun and shot back at him, but did not get him. He missed.
Yeah.
But
Could
that
you
helped
imagine
those capturing him. Go ahead.
Could you imagine waking up in the middle of the night and then all of a sudden there's a dude in there trying to get one of your guns? Oh my God. That'd be terrifying. That would be terrifying. I mean, for those people, think, because when somebody breaks in your home, it's like a personal violation. Like, you don't feel safe in your home anymore. Once somebody violates that security, whoever that family was or whatever homes he's broken into, like once you violate that safety, because when everybody feels safe most people feel safe at home. You know what I mean? That's like our safe zone. You know what I mean? So to violate something like that's a big deal. And I feel bad for that family that has to go through this.
What do you do when you hear that a prisoner escapee, especially one who's in jail for murder, and is in your surrounding area? What do you do?
Armed, no less.
Well, they did the right thing. Didn't he shoot back? Didn't he shoot at him? He just missed. I mean, what can you do?
Listen,
if you have the means to defend yourself, right? If you have the means to defend yourself, that's what you do. You don't, let them take you alive. You got to try to fight back. He had guns in the house. I would shoot back at him too.
Go ahead.
But Pennsylvania, people love their guns here.
Yeah, and it goes beyond that. Like, you've got to think, like, okay, are we going to be proactive or are we going to be reactive? So, like in my situation, I've got a house full of kids. I'm going to be proactive. I'm going and I'm getting cameras. I'm really going to set myself up to not put my family at risk. Like, if I need to go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Amazon, whatever I need to do to set my barrier up to where there's alarms going off in movement.
And it's safe. Yes.
Like, I'm not going to put my girls at risk like that. So we've got to be proactive in a situation.
I was just going to say that, Justin. I was just going to say that in situations like this, especially when it comes to security and safety, cameras come in very well, especially ring.com cameras, where it alerts you right away when somebody is in your space. And I suggest anyone and everyone to get them because the second someone is on your property or within your space, it alerts.
You're notified.
You're notified. And you're
like, I don't have, we have an alarm system in our house that we don't, I shouldn't say this on live TV, but we don't use it. But like my dad, when he built the house or when he bought the house, had like these really, you know what I mean? These thick double pane windows, and he has metal doors. I have metal doors on the front and back doors. So like, you know what I mean? We feel safe in here, but at the same time, you're right. I should consider updating, and probably will after this conversation.
It's funny that you said that, Jeremy, of not being in use. I have a security system on everything, on my homes, on my businesses, my offices. I can't tell you how many times I suck my teeth and roll my eyes every time I forget to alarm it and have to go back.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I'll say to myself, it's fine, leave it, you do it tomorrow, don't worry about it. And then I get knocked in the head to be like, hello, this is what you're paying for, take your ass back and go and alarm it. And I'll go right back and I will alarm. Although then I feel even more stupid realizing I have an application that I can alarm it from.
Or buy a damn dog or something, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Dog bark. Hey.
if you can find you a system that is automated to where you can go on your phone and use the technology to arm and de-arm that's going to be your best case scenario, because we are human. We are going to forget to do things down the line. So if we remember, hey, boom, like while you're driving or whatever, I need to alarm all these things to protect my family.
You can do these things remotely now, can't you?
Right. But it's beyond ridiculous, at least in my case, that I forget. Sometimes I forget to alarm it, and then I forget that I have the application where I can alarm it.
And of course, you realize that after you drove all the way back to wherever you had to go, right?
Right.
and
Now,
burn gas.
this time, if this time of life, 2023, we're still talking about people being able to escape from prison. My question would be, why? With all of the modern technology, we just talked about cameras and alarm systems. What is wrong that the government cannot get themselves together and secure the public more, better than they have before? Because even if it's one escapee every 10 years, that's still too much. Aren't isn't taxpayers paying for the
I was
proper
gonna say, man,
safety and security?
prisons are money makers. People don't realize this, but a lot of times when counties that are struggling they can actually build prisons, because then that county could count those prisoners as part of their population to increase their population. And then that obviously gets them subsidies and whatever programs are available for, I don't know how it works exactly, but I know that part of it. But yeah, prisons are money machines. I mean, they're a big game.
But how often are they making these upgrades when, like, as technology upgrades, how often are prisons being provided with the finances to upgrade their system? Because if it's 2023 and your prison system has not been updated since, let's say, 2015, then you're behind. Like, you're behind. And
yes.
And these guys that are in prison have access to books and things like that, to where they can, in 2023, they can beat a 2015 system based off what they're.
Yes,
that's true.
Absolutely. So now we're wondering, the dum-dums that are in high positions must not realize, understand, or they're taking it for a joke that these prisoners are sitting there reading these books and watching these documentaries on how they can get in and out of a jail cell. It's absolutely shameful and ridiculous. But I got another question. I want each one to answer this. And Lady D, you can answer this for yourself or for your husband. If you found or caught an escapee, or anybody for that matter, on your property, okay, what would you do? Whether they were armed or unarmed, what would you do?
Well, I think we have children in the house, right? So that's the first thing, is going to probably be hiding the children somewhere, or try to get them to safety. And then from there, it's really more of protecting yourself and trying to at least call the cops if you can. I mean, obviously you don't want to get into an altercation with a person, but I mean, how do you know the mentality of that person or what their plans are to do to you and your family, right?
Right.
So I think the first thing would be just try to get our children safe, keep them safe. And then after that, can you reason with this person? Like, we don't really know the circumstances, right? Those are the nuances of it. I don't know what's in this person's head, what their plans are within my home. What do they plan to do to me and my family? Is it just take our truck and money and leave, or do bodily harm to us? That's very hard to say what you would do. But obviously the first thing is going to always be protect your children first, probably get them to safety, and then deal whatever happens after that.
I'm assuming that possibly you don't have guns in your household.
No, I do not.
I don't. Hey, I don't either. Either.
And Justin as well, because everything you said is absolutely true. Absolutely.
Here's the thing. If me and my husband are both in the house and it's one murder, like, listen, I think me and him smart enough to take this fool down.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're relying on persuasion. Like, you're relying on persuasion and your knowledge and wisdom at that point. So it's like, like she was saying, if you can find their motive right out of the gate, then you want the cars, the money, here, go, bounce.
Exactly.
Bounce. But if you're going to sit here and hold me hostage, then I'm going to have to use my skills, my knowledge, my wisdom to persuade you, and also be vulnerable enough to get you within fucking arm's reach. Sorry, within arm's reach.
It's okay.
Like within arm's reach, and then I'm executing at that point.
Right.
That's what other options you have?
That's it. Like, let me get within arm's reach, and we're going from there.
Yeah, I currently don't own any firearms as well. I do have 2 very strong dogs.
And dogs are good. They come in handy. Dogs are good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Best security system you ever get.
They're his best friend. They come in handy.
Absolutely. I honestly, my mentality on my family is it's probably one of the few situations in life that I would probably put my life in jeopardy, no questions asked. If somebody was in my house, I would die for my family. You know what I mean? Not everybody's that. I don't know. Probably not everybody. Not everybody would say that, unfortunately. But yeah, the one I would, without even question, I would do whatever I had to until either I'm dead or that guy's dead or out of my house. That's what I would do.
That's it.
I'm actually amazed that I'm the only gun holder on the panel. Wow.
I don't know the reason I don't have one. I mean,
I would take out my shotgun first, and we'll talk later.
And listen, and listen, although shotguns are legal, I mean, having little ones in the house, I wouldn't want to take that risk. Listen, a knife, a pitchfork, a hammer, all works wonders.
Anything could be a weapon.
Anything could be a weapon. So you can, honestly. And if there's 2 of us, if my husband can get it from the back, I get it from the front or reverse. Come on, dude.
That's it.
You're done.
Yes.
Very true.
If he ain't got no gun, we can take him. We can take him. If he ain't got no gun,
you got your adrenaline would be pumping at the same time. You'd be superhuman strength.
Yes.
Just change the whole.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
What is on these inmates' minds these days that escaping is an option to them? I don't know of any escapee that has escaped and left the country, got away with it, didn't die. So, in this situation with this gentleman, he was arrested and it's being said that he was tired. Or he didn't have much options or anywhere to go, or maybe he was hungry, whatever. But why do inmates not consider the life after escaping, especially once you're returned and now you've got more charges on top of the charges you already had? Although those who are in jail for murdering, I guess, don't care, right?
And I was just going to say that. Just think about it this way. If my life, 25 to life, for how many consecutive, right, with no option for parole, then my life is already over. So if I get the opportunity to get out, at this point, who cares what time they're going to stack on it? I was going to, for life anyway, if I wasn't getting the needle in my arm, depending on what state you in, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you're going to go for it. Just because when you say what's in the murderer's mind, the mind is the mind is screw it. Let me try.
But you've also got to think, like how far did he visualize this process out? Right. Did he even think he would make it that far? And what that leads, what that leads to is failure to prepare. And failure to prepare is what got him where he's at, because he did not see a bigger vision of, okay, once I get to this point, I need to plan.
What do I do?
Or prior to this, like, hey, maybe I need to read books on survival skills in whether it be the woods or whether it be here. He just was not prepared at all.
No.
For how far he made it.
I think. The last thing I'll say is, I mean, the only story I was trying to think when you guys when you asked, when's the last time you heard of somebody, getting out and making it? I keep thinking of the stupid Alcatraz story where those guys supposedly left and escaped Alcatraz and were never heard from again. That's the only thing, for some reason, is literally the only story I can think of. Yeah. And I don't know if that's even a verifiable
50, 60,
story.
70 years ago?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And they managed to do it then, but with cameras and motion sensors and locked doors and barbed wire.
And barbed wire.
Fake and drones and you think.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, on this discussion in regards to this escapee. I hope we don't have to have a discussion on another escapee for another 10 years.
Right.
Let's see. Let's each of us write our governments and tell our governments to get it together and get a hold of their jail cell. For us in New York, we have Rikers Island, which is really bad. And it's on an island to themselves. So the only way that they would be escaping is by swimming to shore, and they'd get shot dead before they even reach shore.
That's some cold water up there too.
Yeah.
That's not like
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Yeah.
So he's been captured. We're all happy that he's been captured. Definitely Pennsylvanians are happy that he's been captured. But now this was the second escapee from this jail cell. So I hope this Pennsylvanian jail cell is listening and is seriously making the necessary changes to keep their citizens and their constituents safe and secure. Families, children, everybody. Nobody wants to live in fear, even for one moment. But we're happy that he was caught. He was captured. Of course, we don't care about dogs. We don't care about the bite on his head, because if he stayed his ass in jail, none of that would have happened. Now, I'm just waiting to see how many years he's going to get added to his murder conviction sentence. Okay, don't forget to please like and share and follow at the Esteban Hour on all platforms. We stream live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Show your comments. Give us any questions that you may have on this topic, this subject, or any other topic or subject that you wish to talk about, and someone will respond to you. I hope you have and enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we will see you on Monday at the Esteban Hours Week in Review. If you have a goal that you've accomplished or achieved today, don't forget to say to yourself, this is how we do it.